The shrill ring of my phone jolted me awake. I fumbled for it in the dark, my heart racing. Who could be calling at this ungodly hour? Emily, it's Leo. My breath caught in my throat. Leo, my ex. The man I'd spent 12 years with, only to have him walk away without a backward glance. Leo? Why are you calling? I managed to croak out, my voice thick with sleep and confusion. I'm sorry, I know it's late. I needed to hear your voice. I sat up, fully awake now. Sam stirred beside me, mumbling something incoherent. I slipped out of bed and padded to the bathroom, closing the door softly behind me. Leo, it's been a year. Why now? There was a long pause on the other end. I made a mistake, Em. Leaving you, it was the biggest mistake of my life. My hand tightened on the phone. You can't do this. I'm married now. I know. God, Em, I miss you. I closed my eyes, memories flooding back. 12 years of laughter, tears, dreams shared. And then, nothing. He'd left without explanation, leaving me shattered. Emily? Sam's voice came from the bedroom. Everything okay? I have to go, I whispered into the phone. Wait, Em? I hung up, my hands shaking. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to compose myself before facing Sam. Who was that? He asked as I slipped back into bed. Wrong number, I lied, hating myself for it. Go back to sleep. As Sam's breathing evened out, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Why now? Why, when I was finally settling into my new life? Did Leo have to resurface? The next morning, I went through the motions of making breakfast, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Sam came down, kissing me on the cheek as he grabbed his coffee. You seem distracted, he said, studying me over the rim of his mug. I forced a smile. Just thinking about the New Year's party your mom wants to throw. Sam groaned. I know. She can be a bit much. A bit? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. Sam, she treats me like I'm her personal servant. Come on, Em. She's just set in her ways. Give her time. I bit back a retort. This was an old argument, one I was tired of having. Instead, I changed the subject. Sarah called yesterday. She wants us to come over for dinner next week. Sam's face lit up. Great. It's been too long since we've seen her and Janet. I nodded, grateful for my sisters-in-law. They, at least, had welcomed me into the family with open arms. As Sam left for work, I found myself staring at my phone. Leo's number was still there, a temptation I couldn't quite bring myself to delete. I thought about the whirlwind romance with Sam, how quickly we'd gotten married after Leo left. Had it been too soon? Had I been running from my pain rather than towards love? The doorbell rang, startling me from my reverie. I opened it to find Carol, my mother-in-law, standing there with a forced smile. Emily, dear, I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. I stepped aside, letting her in. Of course not, Carol. What can I do for you? She breezed past me, her eyes critically scanning the living room. Well, as you know, the New Year's party is coming up. I'll need you to handle all the preparations. Food, decorations, everything. Oh, and we'll be hosting it here, of course. I felt my jaw drop. Here? Carol, I don't think. Nonsense, dear. It's time you started pulling your weight in this family. Now I've made a list. As Carol droned on, my phone buzzed. A text from Leo. Can we talk? I stared at it, my heart pounding. Suddenly, the walls of my carefully constructed new life felt like they were closing in on me. What had I gotten myself into? I stared at the mountain of laundry before me, sighing heavily. This wasn't exactly how I'd envisioned my life when I'd agreed to become a housewife. The doorbell rang, a welcome interruption from my domestic drudgery. Emily, Sarah exclaimed, enveloping me in a warm hug as I opened the door. I brought reinforcements, she added, gesturing to Janet, who stood behind her, arms laden with grocery bags. What's all this? I asked, ushering them inside. Janet grinned. We're staging an intervention. Sam mentioned you've been down lately, so we're here to cheer you up. As we bustled around the kitchen, preparing lunch, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Sarah and Janet had been my saving grace since I married into the family, a stark contrast to Carol's constant criticism. So, Sarah said, chopping vegetables, spill. What's really going on? I hesitated, then the words tumbled out. I'm not sure I made the right choice, becoming a housewife. And Carol, she's impossible. Nothing I do is ever good enough. Janet squeezed my hand. Oh, honey, have you talked to Sam about this? I shook my head. He doesn't see it, or doesn't want to. Men, Sarah rolled her eyes. Sometimes they need things spelled out for them. As we sat down to eat, my phone buzzed. Another text from Leo. Please, Em. we need to talk." "Everything okay?" Janet asked, noticing my frown. I quickly put the phone away. "Fine, just spam." After lunch, as Sarah and Janet were leaving, Sarah pulled me aside. "Listen, Em, if you ever need a break, I know a place that's hiring. Part-time, flexible hours. Might be good for you to get out of the house." I hugged her tightly. "Thanks, I'll think about it." That evening, as Sam and I sat down for dinner, I decided to broach the subject. "Sam, I've been thinking maybe I should get a part-time job." He looked up, surprised. "But I thought you wanted to be a housewife." "I did. I thought I did, but I'm feeling a bit lost." Sam reached across the table, taking my hand. "Em, I want you to be happy. If working will make you happy, then do it." I felt a surge of affection for him, remembering why I'd fallen for him in the first place. But then his phone buzzed, and he quickly flipped it over, a flicker of something, guilt, crossing his face. "Everything okay?" I asked, suspicion gnawing at me. "Fine," he said too quickly. "Just work stuff." Later that night, as Sam slept, I found myself staring at my phone again. Before I could talk myself out of it, I typed out a response to Leo. "Okay, let's talk." The next morning, I woke to find Sam already gone, a note on his pillow. "Early meeting. See you tonight. Love you." I tried to shake off my unease as I went about my day, but as I was folding laundry, Sam's phone, forgotten on the nightstand, buzzed. Against my better judgment, I looked. A text from someone named A. "Can't wait to see you later, babe. Same place?" My world tilted on its axis. Surely there was an explanation. There had to be. The doorbell rang, startling me. I stumbled downstairs, my mind reeling. When I opened the door, I froze. Leo stood there, looking exactly as he had the day he'd walked out of my life. "Em," he said softly. "Thank you for agreeing to talk." I stared at him, my emotions a tangled mess. Behind me, Sam's phone buzzed again. In that moment, standing on the precipice between my past and my uncertain future, I made a decision. "Come in, Leo," I said, stepping aside. "We have a lot to talk about." As I closed the door behind him, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was closing the door on one chapter of my life and opening another. What lay ahead, I didn't know, but I was determined to find out. The moment Leo stepped into my living room, a flood of memories washed over me. 12 years of shared history hung in the air between us, thick and palpable. "You look good, Em," Leo said, his eyes roaming my face. I crossed my arms, suddenly feeling exposed. "Why are you here, Leo?" He took a deep breath. "I made a mistake. Leaving you. It was the biggest regret of my life." Before I could respond, my phone rang. Carol's name flashed on the screen. I groaned internally, but answered. "Emily, dear," Carol's saccharine voice dripped through the speaker. "We're having a last-minute New Year's celebration. I expect you and Sam to be here." "Carol, it's rather short notice." "Nonsense. Family comes first. We'll see you tomorrow evening." She hung up before I could protest further. I turned back to Leo, who was watching me with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Everything okay?" he asked. I sighed. "Just my mother-in-law. She's challenging." Leo nodded sympathetically. "Want to talk about it?" For a moment, I was tempted. It would be so easy to fall back into our old patterns, to let Leo be my confidant again. But then I remembered the text on Sam's phone, and reality came crashing back. "I think you should go," I said firmly. Whatever this is, it's not a good idea." Leo looked like he wanted to argue, but then nodded. "I understand. But Em, I'm not giving up. We had something special, and I think we could have it again." As I closed the door behind him, my mind was reeling. Between Leo's reappearance, Sam's suspicious text, and now Carol's demands, I felt like I was being pulled in 1,000 different directions. The next evening, Sam and I arrived at Carol and Roger's house. The tension between us was palpable. I still hadn't confronted him about the text, and guilt gnawed at me for meeting Leo. "Emily, Sam!" Carol greeted us effusively, air kissing our cheeks. Come in. Emily, be a dear and help me in the kitchen." I shot a pleading look at Sam, but he was already being whisked away by his father. Resigned, I followed Carol into the kitchen. "Now," she said, thrusting a pile of dishes at me, "I need these washed and dried. Then you can start on the hors d'oeuvres." "Carol," I started, trying to keep my voice level. "I thought this was supposed to be a family gathering. Why am I the only one working?" She waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, don't be so sensitive. This is what families do. We all pitch in." As I scrubbed dishes, my resentment bubbled. Through the kitchen door, I could see Sam laughing with his sisters, drink in hand. The unfairness of it all made my blood boil. Suddenly my phone buzzed. A text from Leo, thinking of you. Hope everything's okay. I quickly deleted it, but not before Carol's sharp eyes caught the movement. Who's that? She asked, her voice dripping with suspicion. No one, I said quickly. Too quickly. Carol's eyes narrowed. Emily, I hope you're not doing anything to jeopardize your marriage to my son. After all, he's been so good to you, taking you in after that nasty breakup. Her words hit me like a slap. Before I could respond, Sam walked in. Everything okay in here? He asked, looking between us. I opened my mouth, ready to unleash all my pent-up frustrations. But then I caught sight of Sarah and Janet watching from the doorway, concern etched on their faces. I swallowed hard. Everything's fine, I lied, plastering on a smile. Just finishing up in here. As I turned back to the sink, I caught a glimpse of Sam's phone lighting up. The name A flashed on the screen before he quickly pocketed it. In that moment, standing in Carol's kitchen, surrounded by a family that didn't feel like mine, I made a decision. Something had to change, and it had to change now. The question was, did I have the courage to make that change? The New Year's Eve party was in full swing, but I felt like I was suffocating. Carol had cornered me in the kitchen again, her voice grating on my last nerve. Emily, dear, we're running low on hors d'oeuvres. Be a lamb and whip up another batch, would you? I gripped the edge of the counter, my knuckles turning white. Carol, I've been cooking and cleaning all day. Maybe someone else could help? She laughed, the sound brittle and false. Oh, don't be silly. This is what a good wife does. You do want to be a good wife, don't you? Before I could respond, she dropped the bomb. Oh, and by the way, I'll need you to cover the expenses for tonight's party. It's the least you can do, considering how much we've done for you. My jaw dropped. Excuse me, Carol, that's not fair. We never agreed. Now, she cut me off, patting my cheek condescendingly. Family helps family. You are part of this family now, aren't you? I stood there, stunned, as she sauntered back to the party. Through the kitchen door, I could see Sam laughing with his college friends, oblivious to my distress. My phone buzzed in my pocket, another text from Leo. I ignored it. Taking a deep breath, I made my decision. I marched into the living room, my heart pounding. Sam, I said, my voice shaking slightly, can I talk to you for a moment, privately? He looked up, surprised. Can't it wait, Em? We're in the middle of a game. No, I said firmly, it can't. Reluctantly, he followed me to the study. As soon as the door closed behind us, I let loose. Your mother expects me to pay for this entire party. Did you know about this? Sam's eyes widened. What? No, of course not. She wouldn't. She did, I cut him off. And that's not all. I'm tired, Sam. Tired of being treated like a servant in my own family. Tired of your mother's constant criticism and demands. And I'm tired of you not standing up for me. Sam ran a hand through his hair, looking flustered. Em, come on. You know how Mom is. She doesn't mean any harm. Doesn't she? I challenged. And what about you? Who's A, Sam? His face paled. What? I saw the text, I said, my voice breaking. Are you cheating on me? Emily, it's not what you think, but I'd heard enough. I held up a hand, silencing him. I can't do this anymore, Sam. I won't. With that, I turned on my heel and walked out of the study. I could hear Sam calling after me, but I didn't stop. I marched straight to Carol, who was holding court in the center of the room. Carol, I said loudly, drawing everyone's attention, I will not be paying for this party. In fact, I won't be staying for it either. Her face contorted with rage. How dare you? No, I cut her off. How dare you? You've treated me like dirt from the moment I married your son. Well, I'm done. I deserve better than this. The room had gone silent. I could feel all eyes on me, but for once I didn't care. I turned to Sarah and Janet, who were watching with a mixture of shock and, was that pride? Thank you both for your kindness, I said softly. You've been the only bright spots in this family for me. With that, I walked out, ignoring the chaos erupting behind me. As I stepped into the cool night air, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. My phone buzzed again. Leo. This time I answered. Leo? Can we meet? I think I'm ready to talk. As I drove away from the house, leaving the sounds of the party behind, I felt a strange mix of terror and exhilaration. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was taking control of my own life. And that felt pretty damn good. The clock struck midnight as I sat alone in my darkened living room, the faint sounds of fireworks in the distance a stark contrast to the silence enveloping me. I'd driven aimlessly for hours after leaving the party, eventually ending up back home, unable to face Leo or anyone else. My phone had been buzzing incessantly, calls and texts from Sam, Sarah, Janet, even Carol. I ignored them all. As the first light of the new year crept through the windows, I finally mustered the courage to listen to the voicemails. Sam's voice, pleading and desperate. "Em, please come home. We need to talk. I can explain everything." Sarah, concern evident in her tone. "Emily, we're worried sick. Please call us." And then, unexpectedly, I know things are complicated. I'm here if you need me." I deleted them all, a strange numbness settling over me. The events of the past few days played on a loop in my mind, the suspicions, the confrontations, the humiliation. How had I let things get to this point? As morning fully broke, I made a decision. I needed answers, and I needed them now. I showered, dressed, and drove to Sam's office. It was New Year's Day, but I knew he'd be there, burying himself in work to avoid dealing with personal issues, a habit I'd come to resent over our short marriage. The office was quiet as I made my way to Sam's corner suite. I could hear muffled voices as I approached. Without knocking, I pushed the door open. The scene before me felt like a punch to the gut. Sam was there, all right, with a young woman perched on his desk, her hand on his chest. They sprang apart as I entered, guilt written all over their faces. "Emily!" Sam exclaimed, his face pale. "What are you doing here?" I stood frozen, my eyes locked on the woman. She couldn't have been more than 25, with long blonde hair and a face full of expertly applied makeup. This must be E.A. "So," I said, my voice eerily calm, "this is why you've been so busy at work lately." The woman slid off the desk, smoothing her skirt. "I should go," she mumbled, avoiding my gaze as she hurried past me. Sam ran a hand through his hair, his expression a mix of shame and defiance. I can explain. Save it," I cut him off. "How long?" He sighed, slumping into his chair. 3 months. The admission hit me like a physical blow. 3 months, half of our marriage. "Why?" I whispered, hating the tremor in my voice. Sam looked at me, his eyes pleading. "I don't know, Em. Things between us, they've been so strained with my mother and your unhappiness. I guess I just wanted to feel appreciated again." A bitter laugh escaped me. "Appreciated? You want to talk about appreciation? I've bent over backwards trying to fit into your family, to be the perfect wife. And this is how you show your appreciation?" "I'm sorry," he said, reaching for me. I stepped back, out of his reach. "I want a divorce," I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. Sam's face crumpled. "Emily, please. We can work this out. I'll end things with Amanda. I'll stand up to my mother. Just give me another chance." I shook my head, a strange calm settling over me. "No, Sam, it's too late for that." As I turned to leave, Sam called out, "What about Leo? I know he's been texting you." I paused at the door, looking back at him. "Nothing's happened with Leo, but even if it had, it wouldn't change this. We're done, Sam." Walking out of that office, I felt a mix of emotions, grief, anger, but also an unexpected sense of liberation. As I got into my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. "Janet and I are here for you, whatever you need." In that moment, I made a decision. I was done being a victim, done letting others dictate my life. It was time to take control, to stand up for myself. And if that meant burning a few bridges along the way, so be it. I started the car, a plan already forming in my mind. Carol, Sam, and anyone else who had underestimated me were about to learn a hard lesson. The old Emily was gone. The new Emily? She was ready for revenge. I sat in Sarah's living room, my hands wrapped around a steaming mug of tea as she and Janet paced furiously before me. The events of the past few days had left me drained, but their righteous anger on my behalf was oddly comforting. "I can't believe Sam would do this to you," Janet fumed, her usually calm demeanor shattered. "And Mom? She's gone too far this time." Sarah nodded vigorously. "We're going to confront them, Emily. All of them. They can't treat you like this and get away with it." I took a sip of tea, considering their words. Part of me wanted to let them fight this battle for me, to retreat into the background and lick my wounds. But I knew this was my fight. "I appreciate your support," I said slowly, "but I need to handle this myself." They exchanged worried glances. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked gently. "You don't have to face them alone." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was Sam. Again. This time I answered. "Emily, please," his voice was desperate. "Can we talk? Mom wants to apologize. We all do." I closed my eyes, steeling myself. "Fine. I'll be there in an hour." As I hung up, Janet placed a hand on my shoulder. "We're coming with you." An hour later, we walked into Carol and Roger's living room, and the tension was palpable. Sam sat on the couch, looking haggard. Carol stood by the fireplace, her usual haughty expression replaced by one of forced contrition. Roger hovered in the background, clearly uncomfortable. "Emily," Carol began, her voice syrupy sweet, "we owe you an apology. Our behavior at the New Year's party was unacceptable." I raised an eyebrow, waiting for more. Sam jumped in. I'm so sorry for everything. The party, the affair. I want to make this right." I looked between them, their faces a mixture of guilt and hope. For a moment I almost believed them. Almost. "Is that all?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. Carol blinked, thrown off balance. "Well, yes. We hope you can forgive us and we can move past this unpleasantness." A bitter laugh escaped me. "Unpleasantness? Is that what you call years of manipulation, criticism, and disrespect? Is that what you call cheating on your wife?" Sam stood, reaching for me. "Emily, please." I stepped back, my voice rising. "No, Sam, you don't get to touch me. Not after I saw you with her." Carol's eyes widened. "You knew? About Amanda?" The room fell silent. I turned to Carol, realization dawning. "You knew about the affair?" She had the grace to look ashamed, but only for a moment. "Well, dear, these things happen in marriages. If you had been a better wife—" "That's enough." Sarah's voice cut through the room like a whip. "How dare you blame Emily for Sam's infidelity?" Janet joined in, her voice shaking with anger. "You've gone too far, Mom. Both of you have." As Sarah and Janet tore into Carol and Sam, I stood there, a strange calm settling over me. This was it, the moment I'd been building towards. I cleared my throat, silencing the room. "I want a divorce," I said, my voice steady. "And I want you all out of my life." The chaos that erupted was deafening. Sam pleading, Carol shrieking, Sarah and Janet arguing in my defense. But I tuned it all out, focusing on the sense of liberation washing over me. As I turned to leave, Carol's voice cut through the noise. "If you walk out that door, Emily, don't expect to ever be welcomed back into this family." I paused at the threshold, looking back at the scene of dysfunction before me. "That," I said with a smile, "is exactly what I'm counting on." With that, I walked out, leaving the shouting and drama behind. As I stepped into the cool evening air, my phone buzzed. A text from Leo. "How did it go? Are you okay?" I took a deep breath, feeling lighter than I had in years. "It's over," I typed back, "and I've never been better." As I hit send, I realized this wasn't just the end of my marriage, it was the beginning of my revenge, and I was just getting started. The coffee shop bustled with the morning rush, but I barely noticed as I stared at the divorce papers before me. My lawyer had assured me they were fair, even generous. All I had to do was sign. My phone buzzed. A text from Leo. "Thinking of you today. Stay strong." I smiled, warmth spreading through my chest. Leo had been a rock these past few weeks, a reminder of the person I used to be before Sam and his family had worn me down. As I reached for my pen, the bell above the door chimed. I looked up, my blood running cold. Sam walked in, Carol and Amanda in tow. "Emily," Sam said, his voice strained, "we need to talk." I stood, gathering my papers. "We have nothing to talk about, Sam. The divorce papers." "About that," Carol cut in, her smile sharp. "We have a counterproposal." Amanda stepped forward, her hand on her stomach. "I'm pregnant," she announced, her eyes gleaming with triumph. The world tilted on its axis. I gripped the table, steadying myself. "Congratulations," I managed to say, my voice hollow. "But I don't see how that changes anything." Sam at least had the decency to look ashamed. "Em, please, we can work this out, for the baby's sake." I laughed, the sound brittle. "Work what out, Sam? Your infidelity? Your mother's manipulation? Or how about the fact that you're here with your pregnant mistress, trying to guilt me into staying in a loveless marriage?" Carol's eyes narrowed. "Now, Emily, don't be dramatic. We're offering you a chance to save face, to be part of this family." "Part of this family?" I repeated, incredulous. "You mean the family that treated me like a servant, that belittled and manipulated me at every turn?" Sam reached for my hand. I snatched it away. "Emily, please. I made a mistake, but we can start over, be a real family." I looked between them. Sam's pleading eyes, Carol's smug smile, Amanda's hand protectively over her stomach. In that moment, something inside me snapped. "You know what? I'm done," I said, my voice steady. "Done with your lies, your manipulation, all of it." I pulled out my phone, hitting record. "So let me get this straight. You're here to blackmail me into staying in this marriage, using your unborn child as leverage?" Sam's eyes widened. "Emily, what are you doing?" "Getting evidence," I replied calmly. "Now, Carol, you were saying something about saving face?" Carol's composure cracked. "You little—" "Careful," I warned. "You're on record now." Amanda stepped forward, her face twisted with anger. "You can't do this. That's my baby you're using as a pawn." I turned to her, my voice ice cold. "No, sweetheart, that's what you're doing." The coffee shop had gone silent, all eyes on our little drama. I gathered my things, my hands steady. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, looking each of them in the eye. "I'm going to walk out of here and file these divorce papers. Sam, you're going to pay alimony, no contest. Carol, you're going to stay out of my life. And Amanda, congratulations on your baby. I hope it doesn't inherit its father's loyalty or its grandmother's heart." As I turned to leave, Sam grabbed my arm. "Emily, please, don't do this." I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in months. "You know, Sam, I should thank you. You and Carol and this whole mess. You've reminded me of who I used to be, who I can be again." I shook off his hand and walked out, head held high. As the door swung shut behind me, I heard Carol's shrill voice. "This isn't over, Emily." I smiled to myself. She was right about one thing. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. As I stepped into the sunlight, I felt a surge of determination. The old Emily might have crumbled under their assault. But the new Emily? She was just getting started. My phone buzzed again. "Leo, how did it go?" I typed back, "Better than I could have imagined. Want to meet for lunch? I have a story to tell you." As I hit send, I realized that for the first time in years, I was looking forward to the future. And whatever came next, I was ready for it. I stood in Sarah's living room, my hands shaking as I pressed play on the recording. The room fell silent as my confrontation with Sam, Carol, and Amanda filled the air. Sarah and Janet's expressions morphed from shock to outrage as the scene unfolded. When it ended, Janet was the first to speak. "Those manipulative, lying—" "We need to confront them," Sarah cut in, her voice steel. "All of them." I took a deep breath. "No, I need to do this, alone." They protested, but I stood firm. This was my battle to fight. An hour later, I walked into Carol and Roger's house. My head held high. The family was gathered in the living room, tension thick in the air. Sam's eyes widened when he saw me, a mix of hope and fear on his face. "Emily," Carol began, her voice sickly sweet, "I'm glad you've come to your senses." I held up a hand, silencing her. "I'm not here to reconcile. I'm here to end this once and for all." I pulled out my phone and played the recording. The color drained from Carol's face as her own voice filled the room, exposing her manipulation and Sam's infidelity for all to hear. When it ended, the silence was deafening. Roger was the first to break it, turning to Carol with disbelief etched on his face. "Is this true? Did you really try to blackmail our daughter-in-law?" Carol sputtered, her composure cracking. "Roger, Save it," he cut her off, his voice hard. He turned to me, his eyes filled with regret. "Emily, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." I nodded, acknowledging his apology. Then I turned to Sam, who looked like he might be sick. "Sam, here are the divorce papers. Sign them, and we can end this civilly." He hesitated, glancing at Carol. I saw the moment he made his decision, straightening his spine. "No," he said. "I won't sign." For a moment, I felt my resolve waver. Then I remembered everything I'd been through, everything I'd endured. I smiled, and I saw Sam flinch at the steel in my eyes. "Fine," I said calmly. "Then I'll see you in court, where I'll play this recording for the judge." Sam's face paled. He reached for the papers with a shaking hand. As he signed, I turned to Amanda. "I truly am sorry you got caught up in this. I hope you find happiness, for your sake and your child's." She nodded, tears in her eyes. Finally, I faced Carol. "You've tormented me, belittled me, and tried to break me. But you've failed. I'm stronger now than I've ever been, and I have you to thank for that." Carol's mouth opened and closed, but for once she had nothing to say. I gathered the signed papers and headed for the door. As I reached it, Roger called out, "Emily, wait." I turned to see him handing Carol an envelope. "These are divorce papers," he said, his voice firm. I won't be part of this toxicity any longer. As I walked out of that house for the last time, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. It felt like a sign, an end, but also a new beginning. My phone buzzed. A text from Leo. How did it go? I smiled, feeling a flutter in my chest. It's over, I replied. Want to meet for dinner? I have a story to tell you. His response came quickly. I'd love to. And Emily? I'm proud of you. Tears pricked my eyes as I read his words. I was proud of me too. 6 months later, I stood in front of a mirror, adjusting my blazer. My first day at my new job, thanks to Sarah's reference. As I grabbed my keys, my gaze fell on a framed photo. Me, Sarah, and Janet, laughing at a cafe. My new family, one built on love and respect. My phone buzzed. Leo. Good luck today? Dinner tonight to celebrate? I smiled, warmth spreading through me. Leo and I were taking things slow, rediscovering each other and ourselves. It wasn't always easy, but it was real. As I stepped out into the morning sun, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The road ahead wasn't certain, but for the first time in years, I was excited to see where it would lead. I had faced my demons, stood up to my tormentors, and come out stronger on the other side. Emily, the doormat, the victim, was gone. In her place stood a woman who knew her worth, who wouldn't settle for less than she deserved. And that woman? She was ready for whatever life had in store.